Josh Giddey just played the single best month of basketball in his entire career so far. So naturally, I spent my entire weekend watching every single play involving Giddey from February. Was this a good use of my time? Probably not, but I did learn some things. Let's take a look at what changed in Giddey's game last month, how that development affects the Bulls going forward, and what kind of contract could Giddey potentially be looking at in the restricted free agency market.
So come with me, gather around the Barbie with your pet kangaroo or whatever's going on down there in Australia, and let's take a trip down under for the Josh Giddey 2025 Deep Dive.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to stick around till the end for a special announcement. To put things in simple terms, Giddey's biggest improvement in February was his shooting. We know that one of the biggest criticisms of Giddey's game has always been his ability to space the floor. It became a focal point with the Thunder last season in the playoffs, and he struggled early on this season as well. But in February, he totally flipped the script. Among all players who had at least 50 shot attempts from 3 last month, Giddey was second in the entire NBA at 53.6%. And a lot of those shots were coming off of catch and shoot opportunities. His catch and shoot 3-point percentage was 52.5%. For most of the season, you could see defenders were sagging off of him and daring him to shoot the ball. He looked hesitant at times, and the percentages showed it. But in February, he looked much more confident, especially in those catch and shoot situations. And I don't think there's like a secret trick to what's going on here, other than the floor is being spaced well with other players like Lonzo Ball and Kobe White, and Giddey is just shooting the ball better. Sometimes guys just improve their shot over the course of a season, especially when they're young, like Giddey, at only 21 years old. So when Giddey's a threat to shoot the ball, it has a ripple effect on the rest of his offense and the Bulls' offense at large. Defenders can't just leave him open anymore, which gives Giddey an advantage on closeouts, in addition to his already good ability to run the floor in transition and utilize the pick and roll. But it's not just his shooting that's improved. He's also finishing at the rim better than before. His field goal percentage on drives increased from 39% in January to 48% in February. And I think it shows you that he's starting to put all of these moves together into a well-rounded package. Now, are these numbers sustainable? Well, just like any hot streak, the numbers will probably dip a bit, but I think what's most encouraging here is that after the Bulls lost LaVine, it became clear that they would need to find offense elsewhere. This, of course, was not always Giddey's strength, but he stepped up to the challenge. He's using his height and speed more effectively than ever, and as we've established, when defenders have to respect his shot, it opens up the floor for more opportunities. So while the numbers might not be totally sustainable, this is building something bigger for the future. Confidence, trust in himself, and trust from his teammates. You guys remember this is a similar development that we saw with Kobe White over the last couple of seasons. Kobe has always been a fast, dynamic scorer, but he struggled with putting some of those moves together in half-court situations, making good decisions with the ball in his hands, and becoming a more well-rounded offensive player. But now between Giddey, Kobe, Lonzo Ball, and Ayo Dosunmu, and that's not even to mention guys like Trey Jones coming off the bench, the Bulls have a really solid guard rotation, and Giddey has been a huge benefactor from that spacing.
If Giddey maintains this level of shooting through the rest of the season, I think that's going to be a major factor in contract negotiations.
Now let's shift our focus onto defense, because that's been another point of contention for a lot of fans. Giddey is not known for his on-ball defense. We do know that he gets blocks and he gets rebounds.
But this season, defenses have still been hunting him on switches, and Giddey has struggled with straight line drives against quicker guards. In fact, if there is a strength that Giddey has as an isolation defender, it's probably his willingness to use his body. We know he has that big frame for a guard, and he is not afraid to take guys on in the post. In fact, that's where he's gotten some of his blocks this season, including on players like Jimmy Butler. And it's not just blocks, it's taking better positioning and attacking passing lanes.
Giddey sat at 1.4 steals per game and 1.1 blocks per game, which was 4th among guards in February. And his biggest strength is as an off-ball defender, coming over to help on the weak side. Giddey has great positional length, which means that he plays more like a rim protector than a lockdown ISO defender like a Caruso or Lonzo Ball. So while Giddey's screen navigation and lateral quickness definitely needs some work, that length, that height, that speed enables Giddey to make some really great plays as a help defender. But, and there is a but, sometimes Giddey gambles. And you'll see this in the tape. He occupies the space between the corner and the paint in case he needs to come over and help. He's splitting his time between defending the corner three, but also being a help defender in the lane. The problems come when he overcommits or loses track of his man, giving up a wide open three, defensive mismatches, and switches that stress out the rest of the Bulls defense. So while it's encouraging to see the development on that side of the ball in terms of blocks, rebounds, and positioning, there's still something to be said for Giddey's defensive awareness and keeping track of his man, as well as trying his best to continue navigating those screens and contesting shots against quicker guards. So we've taken a look at his offense, we've taken a look at his defense, we have the full picture. What I decided to do is look at players who are statistically similar to Giddey to get an idea of what that contract value range could be. We're looking at 20 to 30 million, with potential to creep up into those low 30s based on how he finishes this season. If I had to guess, I think it would be in the low 30s range, just based on how restricted free agency tends to go and the way that the cap keeps rising in the NBA year after year. And with Giddey being so young, teams will look at that and say, maybe it's an overpay for this year, but the contract will age well. That's at least my prediction. So we've seen that in the right role, Giddey can be an efficient offensive player. He's always a threat in transition, and when defenses have to respect his shot, it opens up more options as a scorer as well as a playmaker. And defensively, there are still many limitations, but Giddey has been putting in good effort and making notable improvements on that end. So the question now is, will this efficiency hold up, and should the Bulls commit to him long term? But what do you guys think? How much money is too much money for Josh Giddey? Let me know in the comments what you think. Now, if you want to dive even deeper into the numbers on Giddey's contract, I have good news for you. I just started a Patreon, and for my first exclusive video, I took a look at players that are statistically similar and similar in age to Josh Giddey to get an idea of what that contract might end up looking like. So whether you want more Bulls content, you want to see my behind the scenes process, or you just want to support my channel and help me grow, $3 a month gets you access to additional Bulls content from me, as well as Q&As, polls, and more. Check it out, patreon.com/shysportsross. One thing's for sure, we're gonna keep covering the Bulls over here the rest of this season, into the off season, and for the rest of my life most likely. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to hit like and subscribe to help me keep growing my channel, and you can follow me at shysportsross on all the platforms. And if you just like basketball content in general, make sure to check out Swish Theory, which is a collective of draft scouts, journalists, analysts, content creators, and basketball lovers who create high-quality articles, scouting reports, podcasts, videos, graphics, you name it, we do it. And I'm very fortunate to be a small part of that along with a bunch of amazing contributors. Make sure to check out theswishtheory.com, and you can follow us at Swish Theory on Twitter. Thanks again, guys, and we'll talk soon.